Breaking news tonight, and it's the kind of headline that makes people stop what they're doing and listen. September 1st. A date that, for millions of households, has suddenly taken on enormous significance. Why? Because according to new information circulating today, that is the date the Social Security Administration is preparing to deliver not one, but two long-awaited payments. A $2,000 boost and an additional $1,400 relief check, finally moving from speculation into reality. For seniors, disabled citizens, and families living month to month, this isn't just another policy decision. It could mean the difference between crushing debt and catching their breath, between saying no at the grocery store or filling the cart with what they actually need. For months, frustration has been building. The rising costs of rent, groceries, and prescription medication have left countless Canadians and Americans alike asking the same painful question. How can anyone survive on fixed benefits that haven't kept pace with inflation? Seniors who worked their whole lives now find themselves debating whether to heat their homes or pay for insulin. Families who once stretched a budget now watch it tear apart completely. And through it all, promises of additional relief have come and gone like shadows on the wall. Rumors swirled, officials debated, critics mocked the very idea, and citizens were left with nothing but uncertainty. But now, September 1st looms as the first concrete marker in a storm of speculation. According to updated schedules, the SSA is aligning its systems to roll out the long-discussed $2,000 support package, alongside a one-time $1,400 relief measure. To put that in perspective, for a retired couple living on a combined $2,300 a month in benefits, that sudden $3,400 infusion is more than their entire monthly income. Imagine the choices it opens up. The ability to finally refill a long-delayed prescription, to repair the old car that's become unreliable, or even just to buy groceries without putting items back at the checkout counter. Of course, the journey to this moment has been anything but straightforward. It began months ago when advocates for seniors started flooding Ottawa and Washington alike with data showing just how badly inflation had eroded fixed incomes. Advocacy groups pointed out that a senior who received $1,500 in benefits 5 years ago now needs nearly $1,900 just to maintain the same standard of living. That gap of $400 a month might not sound dramatic on paper, but when you add it up over a year, it's nearly $5,000 lost to inflation. And who absorbs that cost? It isn't governments or corporations. It's the elderly woman in Halifax deciding between medication or rent, the widower in Calgary cutting his meals in half to stretch his grocery budget, or the disabled veteran in Edmonton quietly selling his tools to afford heating oil for winter. In response to mounting pressure, officials began quietly drafting proposals. Some called for one-time boosts, others pushed for permanent increases. But the most attention-grabbing idea was the dual relief package, a two-part payment designed to provide both immediate cash and a modest buffer against the inflation crunch. That package, after weeks of internal debates and revisions, seems to be what has now landed on the September 1st schedule. Yet, the details remain cautiously framed. Officials avoid using the word guarantee, instead relying on terms like confirmed for processing or aligned for distribution. Subtle, perhaps, but intentional. Supporters of the payments are already framing this as a moral obligation. They argue that seniors and low-income citizens have carried the heaviest burden of rising costs without the flexibility to earn more. For them, this isn't generosity, it's justice. They remind critics that in a wealthy country, no one should face the indignity of rationing food or medicine simply because they are retired. On the other side, detractors warn of runaway spending and long-term fiscal risks. Bills do not wait for parliamentary debates or economic forecasts. They arrive, relentlessly, in the mailbox and the inbox. And that is why September 1st has taken on the weight of history. In kitchens and living rooms tonight, families are running the numbers, seniors are whispering prayers, and neighbors are cautiously sharing the news. It might finally be happening. If it does, the impact will be immediate. Credit cards that have hovered near their limits could be paid down. Rent arrears that threatened eviction could be cleared. Groceries could be stocked, medicine cabinets refilled, utility bills brought current. Beyond numbers and policy, this is about dignity, the ability to live without constant fear of running short. Of course, critics remain, and they will continue to warn that temporary payments are not a permanent fix. They are right, in part. But supporters counter that sometimes, even a temporary lifeline can keep a family from drowning. It buys time, space, and the chance to regroup. And so, the nation waits. September 1st, a date that once marked the quiet end of summer, now looms as a possible turning point. Whether you are a senior on fixed income, a disabled worker relying on monthly checks, or a family stretched thin by the relentless rise of prices, the meaning is the same. Relief may finally be on the way. But until the deposits land, nothing is absolute. That uncertainty lingers in the air, sharpening the tension. Will the promise hold? Will every household see the funds they so desperately need? Or will bureaucratic delays and political disagreements push the hope further down the calendar once again? For now, there is only the wait, the cautious optimism, and the steady drumbeat of bills demanding attention. September 1st is nearly here. For millions, it could be the day that everything changes, if only for a while.